talking about food addiction, we're specifically talking about processed foods. It's not broccoli or steak, is it? Sugars and grains. Is that correct?
Yeah. Sugars, for most people, sugars, grains, ultra processed foods. For some people who are sort of what we say, sort of rock bottom food addicts who've maybe had struggled for a long time, there can be other foods. So this doesn't apply to everybody, but for some people, and it did apply to me, some real foods can cause cravings and overeating. Like cheese is one, and you often see that dairy, for people who've done keto and low carb, if they're still struggling to lose weight, or if they're still struggling with food cravings, usually dairy is the next thing to look at, because it's really easy to overeat. It's so delicious, and also it's highly calorific. And the other one can be nuts. Roasted and salted, they often make people with food addiction problems that kind of go completely crazy. The other things to be careful of are anything else that has a sort of acts in the same way in the brain. So alcohol, food addicts have to be really careful with alcohol. Even if they, like me, they didn't have a struggle with alcohol. I never did overdrink because it wasn't something that I ever did. But if I ever did have a drink, I would be much more likely to then fall into going and having cravings for other foods and feeling much hungrier and kind of low mood. And it didn't trigger me to drink more, but it would trigger me to eat more. So alcohol was another thing. And yeah, anything that sort of acts in those reward centers in the brain, if you've really sensitized them by having a food addiction problem, they can, it's like, it's like any addiction can be replaced by another addiction. That's why you see that people who've had a serious alcohol problem and they give up alcohol, they often turn to sugar, and will end up putting on weight. And it's the same with people who've given up smoking. It's a common finding that people who give up smoking tend to put on weight because they're trying to get their dopamine from somewhere else. So that's something to be really aware of. It's this kind of whack-a-mole thing that you give up one thing but your brain's still looking for that fix, so it tries to find it somewhere.